This is gonna blow your mind. Hey everyone, welcome back to our channel. Today, we're taking you on a fascinating journey through some of the most bizarre and head-scratching laws from the European Union. If you think EU regulations are just paperwork, wait till you see these. Ready to dive into the weird world of EU legislation? Let's go! First up, we've got the infamous cucumber curvature rule. This quirky regulation has a fascinating history that dates back to the days when the European Union was keen on standardizing the appearance of produce. Yes, the EU once had a regulation that required cucumbers to be nearly perfectly straight to be sold. This rule was part of Commission Regulation, EEC, No. 1677/88, which specified that Class 1 and extra-class cucumbers could bend no more than 10 millimeters per 10 centimeters of length. This was all about ensuring uniformity in grocery stores, but it's one of those regulations that just makes you go, really? Imagine the farmers and grocers who had to sort through piles of cucumbers, measuring each one to ensure it met the strict criteria. It seems almost comical, but it was a serious business. But the story doesn't end there. The cucumber curvature rule was just one of many regulations aimed at standardizing the quality and appearance of fruits and vegetables across the EU. These rules were intended to make trading easier and to ensure that consumers received produce of a consistent quality. This rule was part of a broader set of regulations for fruits and vegetables aimed at standardizing quality and appearance. For example, there were also rules about the size and shape of carrots, apples, and even bananas. Each type of produce had its own set of standards that had to be met. Let's take a look at some other fruit and vegetable regulations that might surprise you. Did you know that there were once rules about the color of carrots? Or that apples had to be a certain size to be sold in stores? These regulations were all about making sure that the produce looked appealing and was easy to pack and transport. While some of these rules have been relaxed over the years, they remain a fascinating glimpse into the world of agricultural standards. Next, let's talk about olive oil bottles in restaurants. Olive oil is a staple in many dining establishments, often used to enhance the flavor of dishes or served as a dip with bread. But have you ever wondered about the regulations surrounding these bottles? According to EU regulations, these bottles had to be labeled and couldn't be reused. This means that every bottle you see on a restaurant table has a specific label indicating its contents and origin. This is to ensure that consumers are fully informed about the product they are using. It's all about hygiene and consumer protection, but it certainly adds a layer of bureaucracy. Restaurant owners must keep detailed records and follow strict guidelines to comply with these regulations. This can be quite a task, especially for smaller establishments with limited staff. We spoke with a restaurateur to get their take on these regulations. They shared their experiences and the impact these rules have on their daily operations. Here's what they had to say. The restaurateur mentioned that while the regulations are well-intentioned, they do pose some challenges.
It's interesting how such regulations, while aimed at protecting consumers, can create additional challenges for restaurant owners. We have to be meticulous about labeling and ensuring that bottles are not reused, which adds to our workload but ultimately ensures a higher standard of hygiene. This means more time spent on compliance and less on other aspects of running the restaurant. We have to be meticulous about labeling and ensuring that bottles are not reused, which adds to our workload but ultimately ensures a higher standard of hygiene. This process involves regularly checking the labels, ensuring they are up to date and replacing any bottles that do not meet the standards. It's a continuous effort to maintain compliance.
Interesting insights, right? These regulations, while sometimes seen as a burden, play a crucial role in maintaining food safety and quality. They help build trust between the restaurant and its customers, ensuring that every meal is prepared with the highest standards of hygiene. It's amazing how regulations can affect everyday business operations. From the kitchen to the dining area, every aspect of a restaurant is influenced by these rules. It's a testament to the dedication of restaurant owners and staff who work tirelessly to provide a safe and enjoyable dining experience for their patrons. So, the next time you see a labeled olive oil bottle on your table, you'll know the effort that goes into ensuring it meets the highest standards. Moving on to empty snail shells. These seemingly insignificant objects have a surprising amount of regulations surrounding them, especially when it comes to international trade. The European Union, for instance, has very strict rules for importing these shells. They require that each shell be meticulously cleaned and completely free of any organic material. This means no remnants of the snail itself, no dirt, and no other biological matter. This regulation might seem odd at first glance, after all, they are just empty shells, right? However, it's crucial for preventing the spread of pests and diseases. Even the smallest amount of organic material can harbor harmful organisms. To understand more about why these rules are so important, we spoke with an expert in pest control. They provided some fascinating insights into the potential risks associated with unclean snail shells. Let's hear from them.
These regulations are essential for maintaining biosecurity. When snail shells are not properly cleaned, they can carry pests and diseases that are not native to the importing country. This can lead to significant ecological disruptions. Unclean snail shells can harbor pests and diseases that could potentially devastate local ecosystems. For example, certain pests might not have natural predators in the new environment, allowing them to multiply rapidly and cause extensive damage. Ensuring they are free of organic material is a critical step in preventing such risks. This involves thorough cleaning processes that remove all traces of the original snail and any other contaminants.
Wow, who knew snail shells could be so significant? It's amazing to think about the level of detail and care that goes into something as simple as importing an empty shell. Now let's dive into our next quirky law. But before we move on, take a moment to appreciate the complexity and importance of these regulations. They might seem trivial, but they play a crucial role in protecting our ecosystems and maintaining biodiversity. Snail shells come in a variety of shapes, sizes, and colors. Each one is unique and they can be quite beautiful. However, their beauty can sometimes mask the potential dangers they carry if not handled properly. Customs officers play a vital role in enforcing these regulations. They inspect shipments to ensure compliance with the cleaning standards. This is a meticulous job that requires attention to detail and a thorough understanding of the regulations. Training for customs officers includes learning about the various pests and diseases that can be transported via snail shells. They are taught how to identify signs of contamination and the proper procedures for handling non-compliant shipments. In some cases, snail shells are sent to laboratories for further analysis. Scientists use advanced techniques to detect any hidden contaminants that might not be visible to the naked eye. This adds an extra layer of security to the import process. The ultimate goal of these regulations is to protect our natural environments. By preventing the introduction of harmful pests and diseases, we help ensure that our gardens, parks, and wild areas remain healthy and vibrant. So next time you see an empty snail shell, remember the journey it might have taken and the care that went into ensuring it could be safely brought into the country. It's a small but important part of maintaining the balance of our ecosystems. And with that, we wrap up our segment on the import rules for empty snail shells. Stay tuned for more interesting and quirky laws from around the world. In Portugal, carrots can be classified as fruit because they're used to make carrot marmalade. This regulation allows carrot jam to be sold as a fruit product, which is both fascinating and a bit humorous. We reached out to a food historian to learn more about this peculiar classification. Here's what they had to say.
Learning about the history behind these classifications is always so interesting.
Let's talk about your music. Specifically, the volume limits for MP3 players. The EU has regulations that cap the maximum volume at 85 decibels to protect your hearing. To understand the science behind these regulations, we spoke with an audiologist. Here's their expert take on why volume limits are so crucial.
Hearing health is so important, and these regulations help ensure we all enjoy our music safely.
Finally, let's not forget the banana curvature rules. Just like cucumbers, bananas had regulations about how straight they needed to be. Though these rules have been relaxed, they're a perfect example of the EU's attention to detail. We reached out to a banana importer to get their perspective on these outdated regulations. Here's what they shared.
It's amazing how regulations can shape industries in such unexpected ways.
And that wraps up our look at the weirdest EU laws. Which one did you find the most surprising? Let us know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this deep dive into EU legislation, don't forget to give us a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more quirky content. Hit that notification bell so you never miss an update. Thanks for watching and see you next time.